All right, and on to the final band of Morning at NTV Thursday's edition. We step into our Kickstarter, where we're looking to reporting in the eye of the storm. And this is ensuring journalists are safe amid the political violence that has escalated in the most recent weeks in Uganda as we are journeying towards the 2026 general elections. I am Priscilla Regina Naloga, presidential moderator. Now, in recent weeks, escalating violence around the Robert Kyagulanyi Centum campaign has raised serious concerns, not only for public safety but also for press freedom. Journalists are increasingly covering high-tension events under the shadow of intimidation, harassment, and even physical attacks. You have seen the content, you have seen the videos yourself, so it's not something that is new to your own eyes. So today we want to explore the challenges being faced by our reporters that are on ground, doing their level best to bring you the news, the truth, and the facts. But the bigger question is, how safe are they while they are doing this? What strategies are they using to ensure that they do provide the accurate reporting under the tear gas? And other things. So also, what are the other authorities doing? For example, their media houses that they belong to, stakeholders, civil societies, to ensure that there's preservation of the public's right to information. And so joining me for this discussion, I do have veteran reporter and journalist Derek Wandera, investigative journalist with Nation Media Group, and also a media trainer specializing in conflict reporting and risk management for field reporters. Good morning to you.
Where did you get that bio from?
I'm doing my job.
Thank you, Priscilla, for having me, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us. We've been having these conversations quite regularly this year, especially when the election period picked up. Derek, how safe are you? We saw a video of the tear gas vehicle directing tear gas into a vehicle that had journalists that were covering Robert Kyagulanyi as he was heading to Mukono.
Yeah.
How safe are you?
That's not the only incident.
It's not the only one, but
that's maybe remarkable.
Yeah.
There's another that happened just on Monday when Robert Kyagulanyi was campaigning in the areas of Chira municipality. But the riskier one was the one in Uganda, where live ammunitions were released onto the supporters of Robert Kyagulanyi.
You were on ground. What is the truth on ground that led to such a gruesome reaction from the law enforcement team?
The police has not come out to explain to us quite vividly. I remember spending a better half of Saturday, Friday, trying to ask the hard questions to the police, and I got tossed because I was in Uganda, and the time when the bullets started flying, we were just in the middle of the heat, and it was hard for us to even move either left or right. And police, of course, reports that only one person died, but for sure on ground, 3 people died, including a child who was trampled over. A child of about 7 years was trampled over in that kind of stampede, and 2 of them sustained bullet injuries that led to their death. But it was very difficult for us to establish what exactly was the problem, because you would have probably cast the doubt on the fact that maybe it was beyond time. It wasn't. It was a few minutes shy of 6 p.m., which is supposed to be the official time to stop campaigning. And given the big numbers, we probably thought that police was going to be very intentional on guiding these people on which kind of routes they are going to use. But then the melee breaks out after Kyagulanyi has actually left the place. When he drives out, the police opens, police and military opens fire, and it was very difficult because for us we had stayed behind. So in that kind of situation, it's very hard for a journalist to stand in the middle of all that. And the question you ask me is, how safe are we while covering these tense situations? Priscilla, we are not safe at all, because we are very sure that one time, anytime, the police can just start picking anyone, including one that has a camera, including one that doesn't have a camera, or whatever, or even when you're a journalist and you're well branded, they can begin picking. I mean, there was an incident in Mbarara where police waylaid their supporters of National Unity Platform and started just picking them and throwing them into their trucks. At that point, you did not have to be a journalist or not. Thankfully, no journalist was affected on that day. But this is the kind of fear we go through, because there are times we've faced fears ourselves. We've faced these incidents whereby even it's always indiscriminate that they will pick anyone who is around, regardless of who you are, a journalist or not. So we are not safe, and I don't know whether this pattern of violence is going to continue, or it's going to
I mean, we can't truly know, because even right before the kickoff of November, people had been impressed that so far all stakeholders are trying their level best to act collectively to ensure that there's a peaceful and fair environment that allows fairness for all actors and candidates to enjoy their freedoms as they're going about their campaign period up until November came through. And so in the wake of this escalating violence, Derek, I want to find out from you, what are the immediate risks that journalists are actually facing and have to look in the eye, and what are the ways that they can mitigate these? Because I think we're not at the level where we can say be properly branded. People have really done their level best to ensure that they're well branded, that they are press, they are journalists.
Prissy, we have had this conversation for some time. Even when we were preparing ourselves for these campaigns, we sat here and drew out possible solutions and the likely kind of risks that we face as journalists. We even sat in rooms with those that wield power, and we tasked them to assure us that we are safe. And they did, but what's on ground is different. It's disturbing that a country our type, from the time we got independence to now, that we still have to grapple with such things, such situations. We were in Buikwe, and it was a gathering, a rally going on, and police opened tear gas and water cannons onto the supporters, and in there were journalists, and it was not discriminatory, and then you wonder whether such things can still continue. When you ask the police, they say sometimes Bobi Wine is campaigning beyond time, which of course we've reported about. But then where is the place of journalist safety in all this? Do we have to bear the brunt? Then do we have to be collateral all the time? In the last election, my fellow reporter Ali Mevule was hit by a tear gas canister on his thigh, and when we asked the police, they said collateral damage. So for how long are we going to remain collateral, and where does that place our safety? Do they even have?
Yes, speaking of placing safety, where then comes in the place of the media house that you are doing this job for, to ensure that you are safe and really doing the balance of duty to report and also your safety as a journalist in high tension political zones?
You see, our media houses can only do too little or too much, because in my view, Nation Media has done a very excellent job in training media safety and staff, and then making sure that we are safe by equipping us with all the safety gears and stuff. But you know, that's the far they can go. They do not have a place in commanding or in the commanders in the field. All they can do is to probably withdraw you and say you cannot cover this because of the risks that are there. But then if we do not cover, then who will? So it would be foolhardy for us to to blame media houses. And we've seen that in their own organizations, like in the Editors Guild and whatever, the National Association of Broadcasters and whatever, they've come out to call on and shout out to the security officers, to those people that wield power. But is there any response to their call? No, there isn't. So they are doing the bare minimum. They are doing what they can. And when we go to the field, they only hold their hats and heads up there. The other day, I was talking to our general manager editorial, and he was saying he will have a sound sleep when I am not in the field on any other day, on any day. I am not following Kyagulanyi. He will have a sound sleep, because then he will not have the pressure of calling, hey Derek, how are you feeling? How are you? Have you been arrested? Have you been hit by anything? He will not have that. He will be sleeping knowing that Derek is in his house, also sleeping. But how did we get here? That we put our bosses to such tensions, not that they are complacent, but they can do only too much. You get? So Priscilla, in my view, these people have done their best.
Derek, away from that, it begs the bigger question: is the public's right to information absolute, even in dangerous conditions?
Yes and no. I would give you an example of what happened in Tanzania, for instance. In Tanzania, it was a huge crime for you to even take a picture of anything that was happening on the streets of Dar es Salaam. Did the world need to see that? Yes, they did. The world really needed to see and probably map out any kind of interventions to solve or mitigate the situation. And so is Uganda. The public owes us a lot. And so do we owe the public in terms of information and sharing what's happening. Is it absolute? And like I said, yes and no. Because if I'm going to be, if it takes my life for me to share this information, then it's not absolute. But if you have a right to receive it and no one has the mandate to but myself, then I will have to do it. I think just like the people who wield power and those that actually put them into those places, all of us are obliged to have the information, including the ones who met violence against us. They need that information. And so that means we have to work hand in hand. We have to meet in one central place and agree on a few things on which to follow.
Right. As one and with your colleagues continue to carry the mandate and the burden of being the source of information of what's happening in this political season, what are the recommendations you would pass on to your fellow journalists moving forward so that they can protect themselves while protecting the truth?
I think it's important for us to always keep safe. One of the things that I tell my fellow journalists when we are going out there is try as much as possible to keep safe. Keep safe, run away from dangerous situations.
Yeah, but there's that urgency in Jagara's story.
I was seeing one of the journalists who was recording something, and a situation where a security operative was punching a supporter, punching them and fighting them and wrestling them to the ground and stuff like that. And you wonder whether this is the minimum kind of energy that you can use on a criminal, if they are. For me, it's scary because we want to get there. We want to get in the middle of everything and have, for instance, the Juma Kirias who were recording, who got the best shot of the people, the deceased in Uganda. Like, it is risky because you don't know where the bullet is flying to, and it could just end up onto your head. My view is we need to keep safe. We need to always make sure that we're standing in positions that are safe. We're standing in the safe corridors of those tense situations, right. and only God will protect us.
Derek Wandera, your closing remarks.
Closing remarks. Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Well, today's discussion is definitely highlighting the immense challenges journalists are facing while covering the political unrest, from threats and intimidation, but also to the pressures of reporting accurately under duress. Now, as Derek has rightly shown us, that safety, ethical reporting, as well as resilience go hand in hand. And so protecting journalists is not just for the media house alone. It's not just a media issue. It's a matter of democracy and, of course, the public's right to know. So as the political climate is remaining tense right now, let us continue to support press freedoms and ensure that those on the front lines of information can report safely and also fiercely. Thank you so much for being with us here on Morning at NTV. It's been a pleasure being in your